What is going on, guys? Welcome to today's video. I believe Steve just pulled up, and today we're assembling the VR6. The goal for today is to have this thing, for the most part, fully assembled, timed, all that kind of stuff. We have to get the, Steve is going ahead and cleaning the head gasket spacer right now. So this right here leaning is the spacer, the metal spacer. This is the new gasket. We need to split and fit around that. And then I have to pull the cams still out of this, well, that head over there. Swap those cams to this one, and then just go little by little to the entire thing. Once that's done, I mean, the timing portion is probably the biggest thing for today. All of this stuff, all accessories are super easy to do. I've watched the Humble Mechanics timing video for VR6 so many times. I never fully done this by myself, but watching the video and doing it step by step, it looks very straightforward. You should be able to get it no problem. And then after that, once the timing's done, everything else is super easy and straightforward. So hopefully by the end of the day, the entire VR6 will be fully assembled. And then tomorrow and Monday, we can go through, get in the car, plug it up, get like coolant, oil, power steering, all stuff back in the car, and then go for the first start, which should be so sick. Are you ready? Are you ready to have, I know you want your car back. It's been a long time since this ran, so very, very soon. All right, so Steve just left to get some adhesive spray to help stick the new gasket to the head gasket spacer. While he's doing that, I'm gonna rotate this upside down and get the oil pickup put onto this one, because I can't start timing it just yet until the head is actually on. So we'll go ahead and do that first. We've got the engine rotated upside down. Looks to be nice and clean in here. All of this looks to be nice and clean. So our oil pickup will go into here. There's 2 bolts on here and then 2 to this section here. And then we can also probably go ahead and put the oil pan on after I give it a much needed bath. There's still some metal shavings in there. I want to make sure it's perfectly clean and there's no chance of any metal bits getting into this engine. So here we have the oil pickup with the little tube that goes through, and then the oil pan. You can see all the metal bits that are still in here. So this will get pressure washed. There'll be nothing left inside there. But the screen itself looks to be very, very clean. So that's good. Should be fine to reuse. That will go back into there. I didn't see any type of adhesive that was on this side when I pulled it off, so I don't think I need to put anything on here. I think it'll just sit like so and be good to go. I'm gonna look up real fast to make sure I don't need any type of adhesive through here, and also the proper torque spec for this if there is any, and then we'll go ahead and get this placed on in there. So I was actually able to find a thread on Vortex about the oil pump here and the gaskets. I guess the older ones had like a fiber mesh gasket on the piece that goes from the oil pump here to the block, which is this piece over here. And then some said the newer ones had O-rings, but this one, when I pulled it off, didn't have either. And I don't really see a spot where it would actually fit, because like that's flat and this section here sits flat as well to the block. But I'm gonna look at the other one real fast and see if that one had a gasket that I missed for an O-ring. But if not, I guess we'll go ahead and install it. So looking at this bottom end, there's nothing here or on this side. It's just straight metal to metal. There was no gasket or O-ring in there at all. So I think we'll be good to go just to bolt it up as is. All right, had to bust out the trusty Bentley, the good old Bible for Volkswagen stuff. So in this section, lubrication systems, you can see this is the VR6 oil pump here. I was wondering, there's a gasket that goes over here from this tube to the block, but it doesn't show it at all. It does show O-rings as number 9, which is these 2 on top of the shaft, but those ones are fine. I was worried about the one going to the block, so that's good. There's no no gasket there. Now looking at torque specs for these ones, so number 6. These ones are 89 in pounds or 10 newton meters. And then also for the, is it number 8 that goes into the block? 89 as well, or number 3, which is 18. But I believe it's this one. So 8 go into the block for the hold the pump in, and then 6 hold the tube to the block. Oil pump is now on and all torqued down. Steve is back, so we can get the head gasket all together, get all of these head studs pulled out and put in the correct order, torque the head down. Once the head's on with the gasket, we can go through and actually get all the timing stuff put together on the engine. And then once that portion's done, the rest of it's very, very easy and pretty quick. Up next, we'll be able to pull the cams out of the old head here, and you want to loosen these cam bearing, these caps here in stages. You don't want to do one by itself. It is loosen, loosen, loosen to kind of work way back and forth, so it comes up as one versus popping one side all the way up and getting like stuck halfway. So just loosen these in stages all the way down. And for anyone who hasn't seen the destruction on the bottom of this head, yeah, This is why we're not reusing this head, because it's destroyed completely. So yeah, no more 2.9 head. Cams are out and ready to go. Now I'm going through on this one and checking. Where's my magnet? I just lost it. There it is. I want to go through and pull these lifters out and kind of check them. So Greg actually taught me this. You go through, if you squeeze inside, you should see that how the oil comes out? That means this one's good to go. It's not seized up and it's functioning as it should. So I'm gonna go through and make sure all these lifters are good to go, and then we can just leave them. But that's a good sign right there. So I've gone through every lifter in this 2.8 head is functioning properly. Like, they're actually really easy to move, which is good, because you don't want to have seized lifters when you have that clicking sound and you're not getting the proper oil to disperse up here. Now, I don't know if there's any benefit between running 2.8 lifters versus 2.9 head lifters. They might be the exact same thing. I have to find the part number, but all those ones work, so that's a good sign. So overall, head, lifters, and cams are all good and ready to go. Steve is starting to put the ARP head studs in, which is pretty cool. I've never done this portion before, so I'm letting him kind of go about it. Look nice. So once these are all in, do we torque these ones down by themselves, or these are just finger tight?
Yeah, they say just hand tight, and then when you put the head on, that's when.
And then we have nuts that go on here that torques down too. So the normal ones are long bolts that thread in, but these ones are studs that go in, and you have nuts that thread onto here, and you torque your head down, which there's a process to actually torque the head down properly, which we will look up before we do that. And then once the gasket's on, the head's on, we can go ahead and time it, and then after that, it's pretty much smooth sailing. The last one has just gone in, so all these are put down finger tight, then use a wrench to just snug them up just a little bit past that. Same thing that the home mechanic did, so we followed that video pretty spot on. So now it'll be head gasket. We're gonna split that open, put the layers of the head gasket in, the spacer, the next layer of the gasket, then put the head on, go through with the assembly lube on the washers and the nuts for the ARP studs there, and then follow the sequence of torquing these down. I think he said like 27, then 54, ending at about 87 or 80 foot-pounds of torque. I'll just watch it again, but these are torqued down in stages, and we'll have to follow the exact pattern of which ones you want to go from inside out, or how you have to do the pattern to make sure it's all torqued down properly. So for actually splitting the layers of the head gasket apart, there's these little rivets that hold together. Some people actually drill them out, but with these ones, you can actually see, you actually fold those little arms back in. So I've already done this one already. You can see how I just folded them all up, and the whole thing will just slide right off. So much easier than drilling it, and if I need to use them again for something, I can just fold these ends back down and reuse them. Bam! The head is officially on. All these studs were in the right spot, so you can see how they all pop through, all the ones in the center. So now we're gonna go through. He's soaking the hardware right now, the nuts and the washers. Then we need to lubricate those and get all of these ones, so the head will be torqued down to spec in the proper sequence. Once that is done, we can do the cams in, and then start off with the timing process. So all of the assembly lube has been placed on the washers, and then the nuts will get put on to hand tight, and then we'll go back with this sequence right here. For the head studs, you can see 1, 2, 3 to 4, and then it goes around. And we'll do that 3 different times. The first stage will be to 27 foot-pounds. Second stage will be to 54, and then finishing off at 80 foot-pounds for all the head studs. Once that's done, the head is officially on and good to go. I tell you what, that sequence, it's a good arm workout. It's tiring. So we did everything snug by hand in sequence first, and then everything in sequence to 27, 54, falling up at 80. Everything is clicked and all torqued to spec, and the head is officially on the block, and that section is good to go. We might break for lunch for a minute right now, and then come back. Cams can go in, and all the timing stuff, and then like I said, everything else after that is very, very easy to do. Whew, that was tiring.
It's pretty important. Go ahead and lube your bearing, go ahead and lube your gear, and go ahead and lube the end shaft.
I've had my food, I'm nice and full, and I've watched Charles's video like 15 times now, so I think we're ready to tackle timing the engine. It shouldn't be too hard. If you watch the video, it's very straightforward. This one already has an intermediate shaft in it, so that's already done and out of the way. First thing we're gonna do is put it in TDC and then back it off just a little bit. Like he said, we're gonna pull all these cam bearing caps off, put the cams in with the assembly lube and torque them down. Well, not torque down, but like tighten them down in stages, and then put the, I have it over here, the cam locking tool in. So those cannot move. This will sit like this, I believe. Lock the cams in place, and then we will put the engine back into TDC, and then we'll go through and get the chains on and work our way from the bottom to the top, and it should be pretty easy to do, hopefully. If you want a full tutorial on how to do it, go watch this video, because I'm going to make sure I do this properly, and I want to try to explain everything. But if you want to watch a full video, check out his video. But yeah, here we go. So the engine is now in TDC. We have it marked on there and also right here on the actual pulley itself. We also used this down the socket so we can see the highest point for TDC. He's gonna go through with the assembly lube and do a drop in each valve, and then also in the bearing caps and also on top of the cams over there. And then over here, I'm glad I didn't lose anything. So I have the tensioner, the guides, all the sprockets, and everything is kind of laid out and how it's gonna go. Yeah, and then all of the bearing caps here, all ready to go. All right, so assembly lube is in. We'll go ahead and set the cams in to where they sit with the least amount of resistance. We're also gonna take the engine out of TDC and back it off just a little bit, because we don't want to be pushing these down and have anything hit. So this will actually get rotated back just a little bit, as we saw in the video, and then we can go ahead and actually put these all the way in. All right, all of the nuts are on, all the cam bearings and everything's been assembly lubed up. We're gonna go through and tighten them down in stages, same as how we took them off in stages. And then once they're all snug down, we'll tighten them all, we'll torque them all to, I think you said 20 Newton meters. Once they're torqued down, we'll spin them, put our tool in to hold it, and then start doing the chains over there. So we've got everything torqued down to 20 Newton meters. That's all good to go. We now rotated the cams. We're out of TDC, so we didn't hit anything. This has been backed off a little bit. Our tool's now in. This should just slide like this, nice and easy. You can see I was going to be holding this one and holding that one. We're going to put a little nut here to hold us from spinning out of the way. And then this section is done for now. The engine is now set back in TDC. Our lines over here are lined up, and also the ground down tooth right there is matching the line. So now we can go ahead and put our lower chain on. We have the intermediate shaft facing the top towards this notch. And then this notch right here on top of the chain, or the gear here, will match up to that one. And we want to have the slack on this side of the chain with the tensioner and not on this side with the guide. So the first step is now done. Everything is put in and tightened down loosely. All the slack was on this side with the tensioner, this side was nice and straight, and our gear lined up top. So this should be good to go. The next few things to do will be to drop in these guides. So this one will go right here. Push on in. That one goes like this for the back side, and then this one with the bolts here. You can cut those out. This one I believe drops in under like so and holds on just like that, I want to say. So yeah, 1, 2, and this one is like this. Our cams are already timed in place. That's once these are in, we just work our chain around and we're just about there, and then this will go down into this one here. A little bit stressful, but at this point the engine is officially timed. Everything still lines up as it should. Everything's facing up. There's no slack here. All the tension is on the guide side on both. The slack was on this side, and this with the tensioner, you can see how it moves back and forth. So I'm gonna go through, torque everything down, put the upper cover on, and the bolt, rotate it, I think he said 4 times, and make sure we get back to TDC, everything lines back up. And then once that's done, we were officially done with timing the engine. It wasn't that bad. A little stressful sometimes, but honestly, it wasn't too bad. So we'll go ahead and torque everything down, do our test, and make sure we did it properly. So now with the upper timing cover on, we have the bolt putting tension right here. So this is all tied up. Everything is in time and tightened up. I've put a little mark on our little ground down tooth right there, matching to here. And over here, you can see we're still lined up in TDC. We're gonna rotate this 4 turns, and on the 4th turn, this tooth should line back up to here, and our tool should slide right back in, and then we know we did this properly, which I hope we did. I think we did, so let's try it.
1, 2.
That's 3, and then on number 4, bring it back down to the line. I see my gold line here. Is that it right there?
Yep.
Nice. So this lines up. You can see the gold with the gold. We're lined up over here, line in line, and now my tool here should fit back in like it's supposed to. Yeah, we did it. Nice. So we successfully timed the engine properly. This is all good to go. I mean, this can still come back off. Got to put the lower cover on, but the engine's officially timed, and now it's just accessories and the rest of the stuff. Whew, a little bit stressful, but we did it. That is it for today. I am so glad this went as smooth as it did. The head's on, everything is torqued to spec. We have Loctite in there, we're in time properly. It went very, very smoothly. So tomorrow, we're gonna go ahead and put on pretty much everything else, from the pan up, oil cooler, accessory bracket, crack pipe, thermostat housing, everything else we didn't do today, we'll probably get done tomorrow. And then come Monday, we'll get the engine back on the car, start wiring it up with the axles on and everything else back together. And then maybe Monday evening or maybe Tuesday, we will try our first startup and see. If you enjoyed today's video, do make sure to leave a like on it. If you aren't subscribed, make sure you do so. We are so close, like under 300 away from hitting 20K, and I'm so thankful. Thank you guys so much for all the support. It's been absolutely amazing. The VR6 is nearly back to life. As always, do not forget, be thankful for every single day. We'll see you guys next time. Peace.
I was doing just fine before